U.S. President Trump is keeping the global economy on its toes, this time calling out the EU for being difficult to deal with. On Truth Social today, he suggested a straight 50% tariff on the European Union as trade negotiations have stalled. It came less than 30 minutes after he threatened to impose tariffs of at least 25% on tech giant Apple if the company refused to manufacture iPhones in the U.S. Tessa Bennett joins us in studio with more. Tessa, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Manisa, Trump says he's upset over the lack of progress in trade talks with the European Union. The EU reportedly proposed mutually cutting tariffs, though Trump is insistent on his 10% baseline figure.
I've been saying to everybody they've treated us very badly over the years. It was formed in order to hurt the United States, in order to take advantage of the United States, and they've done that.
President Trump's tariff decisions have shocked financial markets, sending waves of uncertainty through the global economy. And now he's focusing on a new target, the European Union. Trading partners have been put in limbo, bracing for the president's sweeping reciprocal tariffs, which were put on pause until July 9th, which Trump says is to allow time to negotiate new trade deals. Some countries have made strides to end their individual trade woes with Trump, but others are further behind. Today, the president took to social media to announce he's considering a 50% tariff on the EU, a figure that's more than double the size of the 20% initial reciprocal tariff.
The two-way trade between the countries that make up the European Union and the United States is slightly over $1 trillion. So that's large in relative terms, that's large in absolute terms. About 6 million jobs in the United States depend on EU trade and investment, and about 8 million jobs, at least 8 million jobs in the EU depend on trade with the United States.
Trump said online, quote, "Our decisions with them are going nowhere. Therefore, I am recommending a straight 50% tariff on the European Union starting on June 1st, 2025.
And a 50% tariff, I mean, that's almost enough to shut down a very large fraction of trade. How much really depends on the goods and sectors we're talking about, but you could really shut down over 50% of trade with tariffs like that.
U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent tried to provide some clarity on Trump's postings, saying the EU has a collective action problem because its members are being represented by one group in Brussels, leaving some countries unaware what the EU was negotiating on their behalf.
The 90-day pause on the April 2nd tariffs was based on countries or trade blocs coming to us and negotiating in good faith. And I believe the president believes that the EU proposals have not been of the same quality that we've seen from our other important trading partners.
There was no immediate response from the European Commission. The post about the EU was preceded by a threat of import taxes against tech giant Apple for its plans to continue manufacturing iPhones in Asia rather than the U.S.
When they build their plant here, there's no tariff, so they're going to be building plants here. We're talking about the iPhone now, and you know, the iPhone, if they're going to sell it in America, I want it to be built in the United States.
Trump said on Truth Social his expectation is for the company to move operations to the States or face a tariff of at least 25%.
What the Trump administration and President Trump in particular is doing right now by singling out Apple is to say to the world and to Apple, regardless of where you produce your iPhones, they will face a 25% tax minimum, he said, coming into the United States. But a lot of Apple production is in the United States, all the design, all the marketing, all the financing, all the promotion. But Apple, iPhones are produced on a production run that spanned 37 countries.
Apple joins other major U.S. companies like Amazon and Walmart, caught in the White House's crosshairs amid the tariff uncertainty. The stock market responded immediately to Trump's new trade threats, sending composites like the Dow and S&P 500 sliding. Wall Street's volatility index also surged by about 10%.